Okay, so this video is just going to be a bass tune for a 2008 Pontiac Grand Prix GXP with the 5.3 V8. Um, these are very simple and basic car to tune. There's not a lot to do, but there is a lot of power that's completely left on the board. So this is going to show you how to pick up that 27 to 35 horsepower that's missing, and then on top of it, a few changes to the transmission to hopefully uh, prolong the life of it. So we'll just go through and find where the changes were made and go over them. Let's see. The power enrich changes, pretty much simple changes all the way across the board. Same thing we try to do on every vehicle. This RPM, PE mode is delayed under 1200 RPMs now. Speed bypass. PE mode is delayed. The bypass timer is delayed under 100 miles an hour. It's delayed if it's under 0 degrees. It's delayed if it's above 250 degrees, whatever. This is what you do to basically remove limitations related to that. The enrichment ramp in and ramp out, I always set it for 1. It takes a lot of motor modification to need any more than that. I go into here to the throttle, and you can see it's 30% throttle across the board. Well, I move it to 45 in the lower areas because it's not really, the extra fuel isn't really needed, and at 1,000 RPMs, I don't want to go into power enrichment mode because I don't think it's 100% necessary. On top of that, based on the PE mode delays and things like that, and from the factory, it wouldn't have gone in there anyway. So now that you make these changes, it will. And it shouldn't unless you have a reason to do so. I turn off cat protection because the cat is getting cut off this car. Move the extreme cutoff to 7,000 RPMs. Most people remove the displacement on demand. This car has 212,000 miles. It is stock minus the exhaust system. It has never had the motor opened, and the displacement on demand works perfect. So for those of you that are afraid of displacement on demand, it's more about changing your oil at appropriate times, using a high quality oil, than it is getting rid of the parts. The parts aren't really that unstable in a mildly stock car. Nothing transient flex fuel. Spark, that's pretty much the big thing here. So here's your stock table. As you can see, no power. This literally guarantees you have absolutely no horsepower whatsoever. And this is why they only make 303 horsepower. Now, if you look here, you can see exactly what happened. We took this line here, copied it, pasted it to the bottom line, and let's see completely what I did. I think what we did was we copied and pasted it to the bottom line, and we made all of these zeros from here to here, and then we grabbed it from that line down, did one of these, and then made a few changes up here, okay? Then we copied this table, went over the high octane, and posted that table. You can see this is where it was stock. See, they give you a lot more timing here. So we posted that table here, and then basically took this bottom area from here down, and added 3 degrees of timing. Nothing crazy, just so that way when you do run a 91 octane, there's an extra 3 to 4 degrees of timing available for the higher octane fuel. We went into here, into this here, and removed the extra timing here. I like to control my timing based on the main timing map. I don't need a modifier adding a random 2 degrees of timing in an area such as this. This is a detrimental area. If you weren't paying attention to this and you went in and modified your timing and maxed it out, and then you cross this RPM, You could have bad fuel that day, anything, and 2 degrees of timing is enough to pop a piston ring. So, check through your modifiers here and make sure that you aren't throwing 6, 7 degrees of timing at it randomly in random locations because you don't need that. So you got tables like this. This doesn't matter here because, I mean, look at this, how cold this is. Okay, only certain parts of the country you're ever going to run into this. And I don't know why my software is in Celsius. I know damn well I hit the wrong button when I downloaded the program, whatever. Um, and then if the intake temperature is super hot, it pulls timing, okay? So let's actually take a look at this here because this might be pulling an unnecessary amount of timing, I would say. Um, let's see. Let's see, 40 degrees Celsius, not bad. 104-degree intake temperature. So that's not completely unreasonable. I would actually cut this in half here, personally, because it's not unheard of to hit 104-degree intake temperature just driving around on a normal day. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and I'm going to take away 20%. Okay, good enough. I'll leave it at that. Call that a day. Hit save so that way that doesn't go away. And 120 degrees intake Celsius, that's pretty high. Actually, look at this. Huh? Look at this. Oh, damn. I thought I was going to change my whole program. Whatever. 120 Celsius, 248 degrees. You do not have to screw with this table at all, ever. Leave that table alone. You got coolant temperature here as well. What do we got here for 100 degrees Celsius? 212. Okay. That's right at the borderline of getting too warm anyway. Leave it alone. Let it do what it's got to do. So I would ignore the rest of these modifiers. I don't mess with this spark, with the knock retard or anything. Knock sensors are typically a little too sensitive from the factory, but it's a nice safety net. There's no reason to make them 100% perfect because you don't know if you're going to get bad fuel. You don't know, how you don't know if maybe you're not going to drive the car a month. Okay, octane falls at a pretty fast rate. For an example, I had a thing of premium gas in the garage and November. Okay. Um, March, I put it in a lawnmower, and the gas octane was so shot on it or whatever, and it wouldn't even run the lawnmower on it anymore. I had to tip it over, dump all the gas out, put fresh gas in. Now, obviously, that's a couple month period of time, but the thing is let's say you let your car sit a month and then you go drive it, your 93 octane is only like 80 octane or something like that. Now, don't quote me on that, but there is an equation that you can look up to see that, and you will see that it is an extremely fast rate of failure on the octane. Okay, torque model. Torque model. This is the virtual volumetric efficiency. That's where the torque model comes from. Okay, I have videos on how to mess with this, so I'm not going to go into it. Even on like this car right now, there may be a benefit in modifying the virtual volumetric efficiency based on the changes that we did make, okay? Torque management. Um, these are prone to transmission issues. This transmission is perfect in every other vehicle it is in, but it's not attached to a 300 horsepower V8, okay? So I recommend leaving a lot of these settings alone, or if you're going to change these settings, okay, only change them down in the lower area and leave them normal up high. You don't want to lose a transmission in your car if it's not necessary, okay? So a lot of this stuff I just leave alone on these. Engine diagnostics, I don't think I touched a single one of these. Transmission. Transmission's simple. I use the Blue Cat tool. Give me a second here. I use the Blue Cat Trans tool. I use the 4L60E 04 truck, and I modify the gear ratios and whatnot in order to in order to get the correct outcome. Okay, so you can see there's not like a huge amount of change here, but you can see, like, look, factory shift 4981 124. Now we're at 5402 161. Okay, and that's all this is. This is the difference in the shifting. Shift pressures left completely alone at this time. Shift timing left alone. Torque converter uh, changed the apply speeds. The apply speeds are a little dramatic from the factory. Um, and torque management. I went into pattern X and Y and just added just a little bit of torque management. The more you modify this car, the more torque management you should be putting on the transmission in order to prevent you from losing the transmission in this car. With proper transmission tuning, there's no reason that this transmission can't last a long time. This car's got 212,000 miles and it's a stock engine and tranny, which means somebody either didn't beat the piss out of it or took really good care of it. So that's honestly, that's really it. That's an entire base tune on one of these cars. Um, there's not a whole lot that needs to be done, and a lot more could be done on the spark area. Um, you can see, in here I added 1 or 2 degrees of timing. I will make a video on how to get the best fuel economy um, with one of these vehicles. Now see, if you look here, and this was just a base tune, right? So like it's not completely finished, okay? See what timing is here and see what timing is here. Now watch. Now we're gonna go down to here and we're gonna do one of these. And now it's it's more prevalent or more smooth. We'll take this back over here. We'll add this back in here. And then we'll take this and we'll add the 3 degrees of timing. There, same thing. Now this is in a better position as well. And this, here, let's take a look here. This is, a lot of this is factory, okay? So don't look at these humps and stuff like this and go, oh God, look at this crap that he's been doing. This is factory. And like I said, this is a base tune, okay? So, you can come over to here now. Let's do this. Okay, let's take this from here to here. We're going to add 2 degrees of timing, okay? And we're going to come back to this here. And we're going to look and see where this area is. I think this is all through here, okay? So we're talking, what is it, from 20 down? 20, where are we at here? We're at 20. Okay, so let's take 20 down to, here's a safe spot here, okay? And let's do a little bit of spark smoothing through here. And we can do a couple spots here as well. Now, where are we here? Fair. I don't really like when they do this, though you don't need a ton of timing right in this area, so like I understand. I just not really my thing, but I don't really have the time right now to play with that and kind of try and make it more appealing, I should say. Okay, so now we'll take this section of timing here and we'll go back and we will add it to the high octane as well. And we'll take this and we'll give it 3 degrees of timing. Okay, and then we'll take here to here again. We'll cut this in half. See where we're at there. Okay, that's reasonable. And we'll go from here to here and do one of these. All right, so see, it's a little bit more smoother. There's still gonna be bumps and whatnot in it. People might say something about this flat here. Here's something to remember is that you are never going to hit from here down, okay? Not without some sort of a nitrous supercharger, turbocharger, whatever. You're not gonna hit one down unless you have just this nasty cam. And even with a nasty cam, one might be pushing it, okay? Most vehicles, you're gonna get on it, you're gonna come through here, you're gonna come through here, you're maybe gonna come right here, and you're gonna kind of sit right about here, okay? Now, on 87 fuel, oh no, this is high octane table, okay, cool. So this is a very safe spot for high octane, for 91 in one of these cars, okay? And right here, low octane table, 16 to 20 degrees, wide open throttle. We can go probably 3 to 4 more degrees of timing. It's definitely a possibility, but I don't recommend pushing these vehicles to their limits until you start modifying them a lot more. This is more something to be safe. I can drive this car around in 87 right now with way significantly less cost for fuel, and suffer what, 5 horse, 10 horse maybe. Definitely not worth blowing up your motor. Now, with that being said, a 5.3 is cheap. I understand that, but this is where you want to be, and this is a solid tune for this vehicle. So just keep that in mind.